Coach mentioned the first quarter woes. Can you put your finger on sort of what's responsible for these slow starts?
Not even sure. We got to come out with a sense of urgency and not wait until we get down to exert extra energy to get back in the game, try to win the game. I think we got to just have a conscious effort of that every single night. No matter what we playing, if it's an early game, later game, if we playing an okay team or if we playing a great team, we got to understand we got to put our stamp on the game early and control it the way we need to control it instead of fighting back.
Can you guys feel that later in the game when it's sort of taking a toll on you to have to mount these comebacks?
Yeah, it's tough. We can't be the ones complaining because we the ones doing it to ourselves. And if we win, cool. And we realize how hard we had to work, to win. But when we lose, it's like we could have dead this early on in the first quarter. So like I said, we gotta get better at that.
Is it frustrating when you were in this exact same situation last week with Washington and then Phoenix?
Right. Always come down to the last 1 or 2 possessions. We can't have that. We can't. We got to win the games that's close like that. Point blank. Period. We just got to figure it out and get it rolling. Take one game, one quarter. We have one good quarter. Show everybody this is what it takes for us to get that head starting instead of playing from behind.
Case was kind of talking about that. He said, just finding some consistency. Do you even know from game to game what you're going to get, really, with this team?
We know what we're going to get.
Yeah.
We know we're going to put the Spurs together where we play extremely well, play extremely hard. But like I said, we got to do that early on. Then, we understand teams are going to make runs, but instead of making a run, they're the one fighting. And, we the ones sustaining the lead and playing the right way. So, like I said, we got to get a lot better at that.
As the focus shifts to Saturday in Golden State, what do you think is going to be the key to potentially be handing them their first loss?
Just go out there, be disciplined, follow a game plan. Once we do that on the defensive end, we know we can play with that team. There's no question about it. We proved that on the road at their place. Now we got to understand what we didn't do right, especially in the fourth quarter against them, and tighten it up this time around.
You guys are 7-3 against winning teams, 5-5 against teams that are below 500. Is there anything to that at all, or just a coincidence?
I'm not sure. I couldn't give you a specific answer to that. But we gotta get better at that. We tighten up that 5-5, make that 8-2. It's a whole different thing. But like I said, we still got a lot of basketball to play. We still got a lot of things we still gotta get better at. And I think I'd rather have these issues now, and once they get to turning around, we'll be rolling when the right time.
Does Saturday's game feel different, just given Golden State's record and just kind of the hype that comes with that?
Me, honestly, I'm just getting tired of. It's a hell of a record by them, but we gotta treat it like another game that we need to win. And like I said, we know we can go out there play with that team. We just gotta go out there and do what we need to do, and execute from the start and not wait.